Welcome back to another spoiler-free anime review. Alice in Cyberland is a 2-episode sci-fi series about 3 girls who travel into Cyberland to defeat cyber-anarchists. Aside from its likely unintentional humor, what attracted me to its anime was how its second episode was considered lost media that had recently resurfaced. Unfortunately, if you're one of the minority who've been anticipating that second episode, it's a total disaster, but more on that later. Alice in Cyberland feels like a cross between Alice in Wonderland and Gridman that was supposed to be a hentai but later toned down similar to Dream Hunter Rim. But that's another story for another day. Keep in mind, I only said it feels like it was meant to be a hentai. If you've got a better explanation for all of the tentacles, plug suits, and erect dongers protruding from the creatures' foreheads, I'm all ears. Aside from the rapey cyber beasts, what stands out the most in Alice is its presentation and kind of inadvertent cyberpunk feel. I love when old anime like this, or Cyber City 080808, portrays familiar tech as if only its functionality improved while their aesthetics remain roughly the same. It's clear people put a ton of imagination and work into its environment and clothing. I mean, take a look at these office workers. They could have been wearing suits, but it's the future, so they're wearing space suits. I'd love to know the reasoning behind that design choice. I'm also curious why they need shoulder pads to work a desk job. But seriously, I think the anime looks outstanding for what it is, especially in its first few minutes. The story begins as cyber-anarchists release a virus into Cyberland, which is literally the worst crime possible in their world. It's worse than murder to them. I guess I can see why, considering they somehow hack people's brain through sound, causing their memories to vanish. Not only are the expert hackers able to delete people's memories, savings or debt, but they're also capable of releasing an excessive amount of chlorine into the girls' pool during the scuba lessons, which is an oddly specific task, but what other excuse is there for having a scene like this? Our protagonist, Alice's father, was apparently some hotshot in the development of Cyberland, and he left behind some high-tech VR equipment allowing Alice and 2 friends to travel into Cyberland. Along with this, and the help of powers bestowed upon her from some cyber goddess, they're able to wear skin-tight plug suits and become busty babes in the lands of ones and O's. Overall, the episode was surprisingly well made and self-contained. Although its second episode was lost for several decades, you don't really need to see it as the first episode ends on a good stopping point. On the other hand, its second episode seems like it was produced by a totally different team. I'd love to know the story about why this even exists, considering the first episode's conclusive ending. Unfortunately, I can't read Japanese, but I did the best I could with these credits, and they appear to be the same as the first episode, minus a few Korean names. Did they outsource this to a Korean animation team? I don't know. Either way, its story is set in the near future relative to its first episode. Here, everyone has access to Cyberland from their mind, but not full access the way Alice and her friends previously explored. You guessed it, the entire episode revolves around Alice and her friends fighting another virus, but the animation here is so bad that it's hardly enjoyable. In fact, the only enjoyment I had was laughing at its plot. Apparently, one of Alice's friends fell in love at first sight with a child she met in Cyberland. This kid becomes a big mystery that's somehow tied to the virus attacking it, and Alice needs to talk to this giant turtle to understand why. In addition to its story not making any sense, they introduce a bit of Cyberland lore and then immediately undermine it. There's also terrible broken English here that just doesn't make any sense. Aside from its convoluted and asinine plot developments, the episode was a total bore. At least episode 1 looked good and was animated nicely. This had nothing going for it other than the appeal of being lost media. Overall, I give Alice in Cyberland a 6 out of 10 under the assumption that its second episode remains lost. I just don't think it's fair to lower the score of its first episode based on its second, since you'll probably have trouble finding it anyways. I recommend checking out Alice in Cyberland if you're a fan of old technology anime, cheesy sci-fi B-movies, or just obscure anime. If you decide to check it out, come back and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you Wednesday with Glass's Girlfriend.